All right, welcome back. This is Thron once again, and we're going to be covering chat panels today in episode 5. Remember, this is for version 10.5. I believe that ElvUI is updated since the last time, or since we started doing this, and they're at 10.5. However, 10.5 is there's no general change from the first version that we started using. So all of the information here is still relevant. So let's talk about what we wanted to in chat in episode 5, which is chat. First thing you have to do is enable this. If you don't, you won't see your chat windows. And of course, if you do that, you're going to have to do a restart or a reload. But keep these enabled and it'll show both of your chat windows. In the Generals tab, we'll go over your Generals, Alert, Panel, Font, and then class colors. So the first thing is URL. What that will do is if you, let's see if I can find one here. And here's one right here. So by clicking on that, what it did is it actually put that link into my site, and then I just hit Control-C, I copy it, and I go to my browser in an Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, whatever you're going to use. And then you just paste that into your address bar, hit enter, and it'll take you to that location. All right, sticky chat. What that does is it attempts to keep you locked into a channel until you either leave that channel or you log out. So as you can see, I'm in, say, if I was to go into my guild chat, for example, so now I'm in guild, and anytime that I attempt to speak, the first thing that's going to happen is it'll go into guild. If I was to go into general, which is 1, and I'll go over how you get to that later, that is general chat, and it will keep me there until I change it. So looking for group icons, so that's these icons down here. I really don't like to see them in chat. A lot of people like to put these in their chat and spam them when they're trying to advertise something. I don't like to see them, so I don't show them. Chat history. So what ElvUI will do is it will actually save your chat history even when you log out, and then you can scroll back and go into it. Now, if you're the type of person that hops from character to character, and then you come back to this one and you say, oh, I want to see what was said back there. So I look at that, and then you can respond to somebody. That may be a good reason to have it. I don't personally save it. That's your call. Short channel names. This is what I was talking about. So 1 is general, 2 is trade. And how do I know this? Where do you find them? Well, that's easy. You right click on one of your tabs here, and this will open up your standard settings for Blizzard. This is your Blizzard UI right here. This just skinned a little bit different is all. And then you go to global channels. So 1 is general, 2 is trade, 3 is looking for group, and then 4 is one that I have set up. I made this channel for a specific reason. So that's how you do that, okay? And I'll leave that open because we're going to come back to that later. So Fade Chat does that. You notice that the chat window is blank right now. That's because I set my Fade Chat, and when nothing is said in chat, it'll just eventually fade out. Just by scrolling up or down, you'll be able to see what was in chat. And then if nothing else goes on, then it'll fade again. Fade on dock tab. So if you have a tab over here, for example, that is not docked to one of these chat panels, then it will normally fade, and then you can click on it, go back to it, and then go to chat. I usually keep all of mine Um, I usually keep all of mine linked right here or on my chat panel, so I don't have to worry about that too much. So use Alt key to cycle through. So if I press the Alt key, arrow up, you will see all of the chats that I've had for a while. These go back a long time. Okay. And then you could just scroll through and then repost it if you want, or maybe copy it and send it to somebody else. Hyperlink over. So I'll resend something that I'd sent before. So this is by mousing over this right here. This is one of the pieces of equipment I have. And by mousing over it, it will open up the tooltip for you and you can take a look at it. This could be useful if you want to see maybe what someone's selling in chat. Just by mousing over, you can take a look at it and say, okay, that's a leather waist. I need a leather waist. It's 900. My item level on my waist is, I don't know, let's say 840. 900 would be a huge increase. So maybe I want to talk to this guy and see if I can buy it. So that would be a good reason for it. Emotion icons, I really don't like to see them in my chat, so I do not enable it. If you're one who does, then put a check mark in there and it'll show. Fade tabs with no backdrop. So by fading the tab on no backdrop, if there is no backdrop on a tab, then it will fade out. By mousing over, you'll be able to see it. If you're one who does a lot of pet battling, you'll notice that your pet battle tab automatically opens up. This will close it automatically when you're done with your pet battle. When you leave the pet battle, it'll go away. If you want to keep that open all the time, take your check mark out. It'll stay open. So spam interval is 45 seconds. So I can do this over and over again. But if someone is spamming something, then this will only let me see every 45 seconds, up to a max of 120. Default is 45, and you can change it to whatever interval you want. Scroll interval is 15, and that's in seconds as well. And then allow combat repeat, so it'll only repeat in combat 5 times. That's all you'll see. Scroll messages. So mine is set for 2, so it goes every time I go up or down, every click of my mouse wheel, it will move 2 lines at a time. And you can set it as many as 10. I do not have timestamps on here. I'm not worried about timestamps. But if you are, you can set your timestamp, and there's your format for whatever you want. Like I said, I personally don't use them, and then you can set a custom one if you want. This is custom color, and you set your custom color just like you would any other color. So maybe you want to set it as your class color, then you click that and hit class and hit OK. And now if I was to enable timestamps, let's say I don't want to see that. I want to see, I don't know, that. So now it'll put a timestamp in and it'll set the custom color. Again, and that was sent at, for example, here is 8:20 a.m. And by setting none, there's no timestamp. Okay, so alerts. So maybe you heard that bleep that happened when my name showed up. That's done with alerts. So for whisper alerts, this is the message. This is the sound that's played in, and these are all built in. There's nothing special I added to this. These are all built in, and this is the sound. And I don't change the keyword alert. I'll go to keywords in a second. But you can set any one of these that you want. Maybe you want a different sound depending on whether it's a keyword or a whisper. So if I was to whisper to myself, which I don't think is possible, maybe it is, I would get that whisper. You heard. It still has the default Blizzard one, but it also gives you that bleep. So this is where you put your keywords in. So if you want specific words to show up, so for example, I have ElvUI, I have my name, I have my guild's name. If they're talking about a raid, I want to hear that. So maybe someone in my guild says, "Hey, what time is the raid?" So slash say, and I want to know what time is the raid, for example. Raid is a keyword, so that pops up in here. And anything that you put in here will end up showing up in here, and it will show up in the there you go. There's one right here. This isn't to me, but this is someone else. But it just so happens that raid was the word that was used in there, and it showed up. And you can add or take out any number of words you want. All right, so panels. What are the panels? Panels are these right here. These main areas right here on both sides, left and right. And the first thing you want to do is you want to lock the position. You can unlock them and move them around if you want, but I keep mine locked because I like to have them right where they are. And this is just based on trial and error and figuring it out. So tab transparency. You can set your tab transparency if you want. Excuse me. So tab transparency is whether or not this is transparent. Now I use details, and that usually sits over in this window. I've disabled it for this video, but I have the title up here, and it has a different color. So I've set this as a different color. And then I have also set the chat edit position to below. Now I could set it above, and it would move it above the chat frame, but I prefer to have it below. And it's just preference. You can put it on either top or bottom. Now, panel backdrop, you can decide whether you want to show one or both. So maybe you don't want to see the backdrop on the right-hand side. If you want to show, let's say, left only, and then you see how that's faded out. Or maybe you want to hide both. As you can see, the chat's gone. But I want to show both. And that gives me the dark over here. Now, the images are a little bit different, and I'll show you how to add those in a minute. Now, I have also set panel size to be different. And the reason I did this is at one time I did have two different panel sizes, but I like to have the ability to adjust the size of this, each one of them independently. But if you want them exactly the same size and you want to have separate panel size checked, all you have to do is do Control C, which will copy the panel size from this left one to the panel size, and by hitting highlight and Control V and then hitting enter, that just put the same size panel on the right side as it is on the left. And then you can do the width as well. Now this is how we get the images in here. And I'm going to say, first of all, I found all of these on the Tweak ElvUI homepage. There's an add-on for chat backgrounds. You can do a search for that and find it. If I can find it again, I will link that in the description below. But those have to go into your interface add-on ElvUI texture folder. So first of all, you want to go into your Windows, or correction, into your World of Warcraft folder, wherever you have it, and then double click on interface, double click on add-on, double click on ElvUI, double click on texture, and then paste the image that you want into that folder. Now, once you do that, you can then type in this right here, which is required, interface add-on ElvUI texture. That's it. You don't have to have the rest of it. ElvUI knows that by default, that's the folder that you're going to put it in. So what file format can you use? You can't use just any. You have to use a .tga file format. And the add-on that has these textures that I use, that's the file format they use. And it's also recommended that you use a 256 by 128 pixels. And that sets a good size for the frames as well, because as you can see, I'm set at 237 by 496. That actually fits pretty well with those images. And that's how you add those in here. So then let's talk about fonts. The font in my chat is Expressway, which is my standard font. And then you want to set the outline. And then I also set the tab right here as Expressway. I did set the font size just a little bit bigger. So let's say I want to make it 20. That's just a little bit bigger. But as you can see, my guild is actually cut off. And that way you can see at least the word guild. And that's actually a larger one that has more than just guild. But I do see whispers and stuff like that. And really, that's all there is to it. And then you can set the outline for your tabs. Class colors. Now, what class colors will do is it'll put the class colors in the names of players when mentioned. So, for example, right here where it says Thron, that is my monk color. That's my class color. And so when you're talking to somebody and you say, hey, so-and-so, or someone's full name is mentioned in the chat, that's the color that it will set. Excuse me. And then chat bubbles. So when an NPC is talking, they say, hey, champion, go do this, this, and this, or thank you, champion. When they say champion, you'll actually see your name in the text bubble, and that will be in class color as well. So you can also exclude certain names just by typing it in here. And then this will show all your class colors. Now, let's talk about this right here, because this right here is your, as I said, is your Blizzard frame, but it does affect this right here. Okay. As I said, you can see Thron Monk right here, for example, is set for class color. That's because I set everything for class colors. And then this is your class colors off to the right-hand side. So just by when someone's talking in chat, so for example, Paige is on her Warlock, I can see that. And that's the Warlock color. I can see, oh, okay, she's on her page, so, or on her Warlock now, something that would be helpful. So for example, if you're talking to somebody and you want to see if they're on their mage because you want to port someplace, well, if their name isn't mage colored, they're not really on a mage. Now, it's not saying they're not on an alt or anything, but that's what that does. Then that's how you see that. And then this window right here allows you to enable certain things. So if I right click, go to settings on my guild, this is what the information that I see in guild. I see says, I see yells, I see guild information, I see whispers, I see blizzard whispers. And then if I decided I want to build one for specifically for instances, then I could set just instances in here. And maybe I want to see guild chat as well, so I could put that in there. Where if I only want to see instance, then I just set instance. That's it. And leave the rest of it out. And take the check mark out of global channels. I mean, really, you don't have to worry about the rest of that. And this is also what will show up. Okay. And that's the standard Blizzard window. That's nothing that that's in ElvUI. That's a standard Blizzard window. So I think that about concludes everything for the chat windows. Next episode, we're going to skip over data text bars, I think, and go straight to maps. We'll get back to these when we get into the data text bars down here, because those all really go together. So that's it for ElvUI 10.5, discussing chats. We'll talk to you next time. If you liked this video or you enjoy seeing things like this, let me know by subscribing. And if there's another add-on that you'd like to see an overview or a guide on, then just let me know and I will try to do that. Have a great day.